Hello, my name is Rob Cole. I'm a manager for the Information Commissioner's Office, and I specifically deal with the electronic marketing issue at the Information Commissioner's Office and enforcement of the regulations. And I've got my colleague Richard here as well, who deals specifically with charities and sort of strategic liaison with charities and that kind of thing. So we're based in Wilmslow, and we deal. People always talk about the Data Protection Act, which is one of the big things that we deal with, but we would deal with all of these things here. What I'm going to specifically talk about today, though, is the privacy and electronic communications regulations, and also touch a bit on how they dovetail with GDPR and how GDPR has changed those. The reason I'm going to do that really is because we have a helpline at the Information Commissioner's Office and Written Inquiries Department as well. And a lot of the questions that we get a lot of questions from charities, and a lot of those questions are about the marketing aspect. And you know, a little while ago, a few years ago, we were involved with charities quite heavily in terms of their marketing and what some of the practices that we discovered and things like that. So it's just carrying on that really. The Privacy and Electronic Communications regulations doesn't get mentioned as much as data protection, but it's all sort of the same sort of thing really. But it came from an EC directive and was implemented in 2003. It's been updated quite a few times since then. There's been some quite recent updates to do with directors' liability and that kind of thing, and I'll touch on that. But it's in two parts really. The first part is about electronic communications in general, networks and services. I'm not really going to concentrate on that. It's not really relevant to you too much. I'm going to concentrate on the rules and direct marketing. That's a department I'm in, and that's where we get lots of complaints and quite a lot of high-profile cases where we take action against organisations to do with how they've conducted electronic marketing. But why does it matter? Why does the Privacy and Electronic Communications, PECO we call it, why does it matter? Why should you be worried about the marketing you send by electronic means? What's the problem? Well, because one of the reasons anyway is this is how many complaints we received in 2017-18 about electronic marketing. We have on our website, we have what we call an online reporting tool where people that receive electronic marketing, and I'll go on to detail it, but when I talk about electronic marketing, I mean telephone calls, texts, live telephone calls, that's where there's an actual person, automated telephone calls where it's a recorded message, emails, texts, and we're seeing things on social media as well now. That's a new sort of growth area really. And I know quite a lot of charities use these means for marketing. It's quite a cheap and easy means to send marketing about your organisation and to try and do fundraising. But this is just a sample of these is how many complaints. So that's how many complaints we received through our reporting tool. There's also a telephone preference service, which I'll talk a bit about in a minute. They received over 65,000 complaints. And then on your mobile phone, I don't know if you know, but you can spell out spam. I think it's 7726 on your phone. And if you get any sort of unwanted marketing messages on your phone, and they go directly to the mobile network companies, and that's how many complaints they received about people receiving marketing. And it might be fundraising messages or commercial messages, that kind of thing. So that's why it matters. Also, it matters to government at the moment as well, because it matters to the general public, as you can see from these figures here. So the general public, it is a big concern about them, particularly vulnerable people who are perhaps at home a lot of the time as well. It might not seem much to us, but if the phone's ringing all the time, you're a shift worker, you're a vulnerable person, or you're a carer or something like that, phone ringing, your mobile going all the time, it really does bother people quite a lot, and that's why we get so many complaints. And because it bothers people, I suppose, it also bothers the government as well. So we have asked for lots of extra powers recently, and we've pretty much been given them by the government, and so that's some example of how much they take it seriously. There is meant to be a new directive, so the Privacy and Electronic Communications regulations is meant to be, was meant to be replaced when GDPR came in last May, was meant to be replaced with a new directive. That hasn't happened yet, so we're still using the Privacy and Electronic Communications regulations. So, but it does dovetail with GDPR. What we're talking about is unsolicited direct marketing. The definition, which is taken from the old Data Protection Act, says direct marketing means the communication by whatever means of advertising or marketing material which is directed to particular individuals. So it covers addressed letters that you send. So charities might send fundraising letters to people. And also the electronic stuff is, as I say, text messages, emails, telephone calls, that kind of thing. We interpret marketing quite broadly. So we don't just use it to describe commercial marketing, like your bank sending you stuff trying to get you to take out a new type of account, or someone trying to sell something. We interpret it very widely, and we've had a number of cases that have supported this view, that it's also about furthering aims and ideals, and that's where the charity sector comes in, and also political parties actually as well. The big case that sort of cemented our view that it was more not just about selling commercial stuff, but about aims and ideals was a case involving the Scottish National Party, where they sent a lot of calls with Sean Connery, recorded message asking people to vote for the Scottish National Party. And we said that that was marketing, and the tribunal upheld our view. And we also think that fundraising messages and things can be marketing as well. So that's why I'm here talking to you today about it, really, because some of your charities may do this kind of thing. So you just need to be aware of it, and just be aware that the public, sometimes there's been some quite high profile cases where the public are quite concerned by this type of marketing, particularly by charities, which is what prompted us to look into charities a couple of years ago. So just a quick test for you here. I won't actually ask for volunteers. There's a couple of examples here. Phone call from a charity to confirm whether donors would be willing to increase their monthly direct debit. Do you think that's marketing? Yeah, put your hands up if you think it's marketing. Yep, it is. We would consider that marketing. This one here, email to individuals who previously donated to a charity, letting them know about an anti-poverty rally in London. Marketing? Yep, exactly. So you can see it's not just about selling stuff. And I know there is, with some of the bigger charities and things, they do sell stuff as well, merchandise and things. But it can be about things like this as well. So you just need to be aware, if you're doing any electronic marketing or postal marketing, that kind of thing, you just need to be aware of the rules. Consent. So there was some complex details, but essentially for direct marketing, electronic direct marketing, you will need consent, broadly speaking. There's a few exceptions, but broadly speaking, you will need consent to send any electronic direct marketing. The consent is now taken, obviously it was taken from the Data Protection Act 98, but now GDPR is in. The level of consent is taken from the GDPR, and that's a higher level of consent, if you like. It's a bigger hurdle to jump over than it was, I think it's fair to say, than it was in 98. So when we talk about consent, we're talking about freely given, specific, informed, and unambiguous indication of the data subject's wishes. Data subject would mean the individual, obviously, that's receiving the marketing. By which he or she gives a clear affirmative action and signifies agreement to the processing of his personal data. So that's consent. So for electronic marketing, so there's issues in GDPR. You might need consent. You need to make sure you have a particular legitimate reason to